Oh, good morning everybody. Thank you for joining me for yet another glorious Sunday morning trip around the garden. We got a lot to get done today, so I think we'd best just get started. Starting with the front yard, I've rearranged the semi-permaculture garden again. I love it. Get tired of the way it looks and you can just kind of shuffle it all around. But this looks kind of nice. Gotta really be standing like right at my gate to show you pretty much the whole thing, but that looks pretty nice. Let's take a look at some of these individual plants. For the moment, I've got these goji berries over by the willow on the side fence. They're getting really tall and really, I don't know, I almost want to say scraggly, but starting to split at the top of the few of them. So it'll be interesting. Are they supposed to be all floppy like this? Maybe somebody with goji berries can let me know if that's normal. I don't know. Willow's looking great though. Still have to trim it back for that little project. On the left here you can see one of those rooted elderberry cuttings from Permaculture Prepper. On the right here I have my black lace elderberry. This I think is definitely in need of a trimming. Just take off some of those edges, make more of a ball shape, maybe get rid of those ones from down on the bottom there, make it a little harder for pests to get up on there. But let's see. Next to it here we've got that smoky Saskatoons, slowly coming along. That honeyberry is doing fantastic though. Then there's that little Hasgap berry, still trucking right along. Got the last of the onions over by the indigo rose tomato, because that's like the most light in the yard, so here's to hoping they'll grow. Speaking of growing, look at that. Almost there. But it's starting to bush out more at the bottom than it is to climb up. So we've taken the time to put on some trellis, taking the time at like 8 seconds. But you know, a couple of cup hooks, a little bit of twine, hopefully it'll grow up that. Nice little green wall there if it does. Well, green and purple I guess. On that note, I did pick one of these tomatoes, probably about a week and a half ago, to see if they change color. Now when I picked this little guy, you know, I saw all that purple and I thought to myself, okay, maybe it's ripe. You know, I picked it and I saw all the green, but as you can see, it's just a hint of red, well, pink right now, that's starting to come out in this. So for those of you that I did send some of these seeds to, they do eventually go red when they're ripe, so have some patience. But that's a nice little snackable sized tomato. Speaking of ripening, who can tell me what looks different on that pepper? I think we all know what looks different on that pepper. This is one of the Kung Pao hybrids. Look at that beauty. Nom nom nom. Doing quite nicely though. Here's that red demon beside it. Got lots of peppers forming on it now. Very, very impressed with this. Can't wait to taste them. Find out if they're as hot as they sound. Let's check out some of the stuff in the backyard. Front's getting busy. Let's start the back half in the greenhouse, because the earlier in the day I get this done, the less you have to see me sweat while I do it. Frankenponics. There are some changes here, but nothing compared to what you will see by next Sunday. This poor little aphid covered monster, I don't know, I think I'm going to transplant it and just cover the poor thing completely in that diatomaceous earth. Maybe that'll get rid of those things. I don't know. Look, you can finally see the lavender for a change. Something different about that DWC. In the back, I have a cutting from the Bolivian Rainbow Super Freak out in front of the greenhouse that's doing so well. And just in front of that is a cutting from one of the lemon yellow hot peppers. I am convinced that pepper cuttings will take, and let me show you why. Down here, this is a branch that was falling off of the early jalapeno we got at the Big W, and I just kind of plunked it into the ponics, and as you can see, this thing is not dead. Y'all know how long ago we got those, and it's producing fruit. Oh goodness. So I think, yeah, if this doesn't have roots, it's a freak. Not that I have a problem with that, but so yeah, I'm pretty sure this kind of proves that it can be done, and I'm going to keep at it until I figure out a surefire method. Grr, darn it, and stuff. This little red cherry pepper that refuses to grow, but was basically dead when I put it in here anyway, will be transplanted into the compost. Mwahaha! But seriously, I'm going to put something else in there because that's ridiculous. And I got all those peppers, so I'm sure one of them will do better. So an overview of the aquaponics there. Other changes to come here include these tomatoes will be coming out, and I'm going to be disconnecting the strawberry bin there completely and moving it. This bin here is going to be for herbs and leafy greens, whereas the main aquaponic system is going to be things that fruit or root, because I've got those beets in there at the moment. But holy tomato, Batman, I think I'll be okay if I pull those other two little ones out of the aquaponics. Well, with the monster growing up front and the monster growing here, I'm pretty sure I've got tomatoes covered. You may notice there is no massive kale here anymore. It was just blocking up too much of the bed. I ended up putting that Market More cucumber right up against the green netting here. Dirty aquaponic style there. But it's already grown a couple of leaf nodes, so clearly that's working. And then, following in the footsteps of a good online friend, I have littered this bed with pepper plants. We've got 3 Tabascos in the middle there. And then up front I've got a Scotch bonnet on the left and a cherry bomb on the right. So, hopefully, that will be wicked productive. I haven't had a lot of success with peppers in aquaponics, but then again I haven't really tried that much. I've been focusing on the herbs and the tomatoes and such, and growing my peppers mostly in the soil. So, speaking of soil peppers, let's get out of the greenhouse. Wait, can't leave the greenhouse yet. There's the part of the shrine that's been transplanted to those self-watering coffee cans, and the part of the shrine still waiting to be transplanted. One little pepper down there. So here I've still got a whole bunch of those little pepper transplants to transplant, but they've got a little water in there, so they're happier than they were when I brought them home, that's for sure. And that little red bell still kind of needs something bigger, but it's definitely doing pretty good. And all along here I've spaced these peppers out a little bit to give them some room for watering and wind and such. Thinking about moving this jalapeno over to with the other peppers from the Big W there, but holy, is this thing starting to put on fruit. Well, are these things? I keep thinking of it like it's a single plant, but there are 3 of them in there. Still, lots of nice looking fruit. Here's one of the long red cayennes I've got going. You can see these peppers are just a little bit fatter than that Kung Pao that I showed you up front. Nice pepper, very, very heavy in the seeds. I really like these ones for that. If you grind it up, those seeds are just, that's where the heat is, I tell you what. Let's see what else we got in here. There's one of those Tabasco peppers, transplanted, seems to be doing alright. I finally ripped out that little tiny burpee yellow pepper that was not doing so well. Can't blame Burpee for that though, those were home-saved seeds. This poblano, split off like 4 or 5 different ways, starting to produce little flower clusters at the top there. So that's excellent. Very pleased with that. Got an interesting volunteer going on here. Got all these random pots and buckets filled with some compost for when I need to transplant here, there, anywhere. And in the middle of this one, like dead center, right? Look at that. Looks like it's a perfect planting. But this is a volunteer of some kind. I'm thinking a squash. Maybe you guys can let me know what you think. Thank you again for that great advice to put the habanero into something cage-like. I don't know how well you can see all the various fruit starts on there, but this is going to need the support. That is fabulous. Possibly the best habanero pepper plant I've ever grown. Very impressed. Oh, speaking of good advice from viewers, I've been busy rearranging things in the gnome garden, something fierce, and as you may notice as we pan across this here, there are now carrots in here because I finally did transplant them out from that bucket and I spread them along. But look how well these beets are doing. We got that volunteer tomato finally in a cage, doing alright. The red Thai peppers are starting to pick up a little bit. The elderberry plants. Oh, see, now I went to rearrange the one on the left and the top broke off. So I plunked it into the ground, I don't think it's going to make it. But the plant on the right seems to be doing okay. So, thank goodness for planting in twos. But here you can see, you know, most of those beets are doing fantastic. Aside from this one, or is it here, that I think is going to seed. Let me get you a different view on that to show why. You can see, looking at it from the ground up, that that's just not what a normal beet looks like. And if I had to say, you know, the nearest thing it looks like, it reminds me of when the Swiss chard bolted and went to seed. So I think I might have Detroit beet seeds on the way. We're just going to watch this plant and see how it grows. But kind of a better opportunity to see some of those carrots are perking up. I only put them in there 3 days ago or so. So I'm thinking by next week they should look pretty good. Had an interesting observation about this particular Bolivian rainbow freak cross. You'll notice these peppers are pointing up. This is the one in the gnome garden. And these peppers are pointing down. This is the one from the 2x4 collection. We'll take a look at that in a second. The 2x4 collection of peppers. Such a silly name for this collection of beautiful pepper plants, but it is what it is. These 4 are looking fantastic. Thinking about maybe moving 2 of these peppers up front. See what they do with just a little bit more sunshine. I'm thinking I can take the risk of at least 1. But you know, 2 is 1, 1 is none. So I'll probably put 2 up there. Those are looking good though. So that reservoir tote, it's kind of moist on the top because I just sprinkled the rest of the yard. So I guess it's no longer a viable test as far as that goes because I'm sprinkling. But at any rate, that tomato seems to be doing pretty good, settling in just fine. The jalapeno jalapa pepper behind it seems to be doing alright. And that little one down there seems to be getting a little bigger, more solid in its green. So that's good. Need to pull some weeds out of that corner, I guess. And I guess last but not quite least here is that cabbage that I pulled out of the DWC. Still very much, you know, browning away and kind of feeling like leather on these outer leaves, but good solid head of cabbage in there. Still thinking to myself, you know, I'm probably going to harvest that soon, and yet it grows on. Alright, well, I need to sift some compost to transplant these, well, most of them anyway, before the sun gets up and gets too hot. It's just been cooking these last few days. So I'm going to say thanks for joining me, everybody. Sorry it's kind of a quick visit this Sunday. I've got a ton of things that I've got to get done. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I got the chance to show you around the garden. There's going to be a couple of quick videos coming up next week, so pay attention for those. And don't forget, this upcoming Saturday is your final opportunity to get entry in for that giveaway A or giveaway B. Check out the Fun on Friday video if you want to know what I'm talking about there. Alright everybody, have yourselves a fantastic Sunday, a great week ahead, and I will see you next time.